Welcome everyone to today's webinar on Social Security for Transition Age Youth. I want to welcome you all to our summer, we're still summer going into fall, education and employment training series. We're excited to offer these trainings to empower families, students, and professionals with tools and information to support success in school and beyond. Our goal is to provide practical strategies and resources that you can begin to use right away. Before we begin, my name is Tammy Sebastian. I am a special education advocate with Disability Rights Ohio. I use she, her pronouns. I have medium length or shoulder length blonde hair. However, I have that pulled back in a bun today. And I am in my 50s and I am joining you from my home office. So just a little bit about our accessibility features and going over what, how we're going to do today's training. I just want to let you know, and we'll start in the middle of the screen. There is a raise your hand feature. If you do not, or you're not able to use the Q&A, you can use the raise your hand feature and we can unmute you to go ahead and speak. That's in the middle of your screen. And then on the far right side, there is closed captioning. And then right next to that on the left is a Q&A. That is what we will be using today. The chat is not is disabled, so you're not able to use the chat, but you can go ahead and use the Q&A. So with that being said, I think I covered everything with that. Questions, we're going to ask you to hold those to the end, and David and Melissa will address those. So with that being said, I am going to introduce today's presenters, Melissa Day and David Kenninger. I'm very proud of myself. It's all yours.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today. This is Social Security for Transition Age Youth. And again, my name is Melissa Day. I am coming to you from my home office. I use she, her pronouns. I have long blonde hair. I'm wearing glasses today. And I have a pink Disability Rights background logo. And I'm wearing a pink shirt. So I'm all pink today.
And I'm David Kenninger. I have the same Disability Rights Ohio logo behind me. I'm an attorney at Disability Rights Ohio. I'm a 60-year-old white male with long hair that's pulled back into a ponytail. I use he, him pronouns. I'm wearing a blue blazer and a checked shirt today. And I'll be starting off on our presentation. So first up, the quick disclaimer: this publication was made possible by a grant from the Social Security Administration at U.S. taxpayer expense. So this is just a reminder that the contents of the publication are the responsibility of the authors, that is to say, Melissa and me, and are not the official views of the Social Security Administration. And this is materials intended to be a guide for people with disabilities, and it's not to be understood as legal advice. For specific legal advice, you should consult an attorney about your specific situation. So our goals today, we're going to talk about Social Security and transition age youth so that you'll become familiar with Social Security's rules and the work incentives that are available for transition age youth with disabilities so that they can achieve education, career, and life goals. And so as part of that, we want to help you understand the role of and services offered by Disability Rights Ohio. So we'll tell you a little bit about us and the work that we do. Also more about the Social Security benefits that are specifically available for transition age youth, how to use the Social Security work incentives to work and still receive monthly payments of those benefits along with Medicare and Medicaid, because I know those can be a big concern when folks think about trying to go into the workforce. And then learning how DRO can assist transition age youth through its protection and advocacy for of Social Security grant. So that's PABSS. And it's those folks, it's because we receive those funds that we are required to provide the disclaimer that I went through earlier. So quick bit about us. Disability Rights Ohio is a nonprofit corporation that advocates for human, civil and legal rights of people with disabilities in Ohio. We're Ohio's designated protection and advocacy system and client assistance program. Every state has a protection and advocacy system and a federally designated client assistance program, and those are federally funded programs to advocate for individuals with disabilities. And in particular, the client assistance program, which helps people access services through the Vocational Rehab Agency, which in Ohio is Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities, works along, the CAP work fits alongside the work that we do under the PABSS grant as well. And so a bit about our staff. When you are trying to access services, when you have a request for assistance from Disability Rights Ohio, your request is going to go through our intake staff. It doesn't mention it, but you can do an intake online, and that will get to the intake specialists who also receive calls and then provide information and referral service, and we'll also take a look at the case and determine whether that's something that's going to get more than information and referral service. Will it go on to an attorney and an advocate for some specialized service under one of our particular grants or programs? And the level of advocacy can vary depending upon the situation and what our priorities are. It could be helping you become an advocate for yourself, helping you, giving you some tools and skills to do self-advocacy. It could be limited representation. Maybe it's writing a letter or contacting the Social Security Administration about your case. Or it could be full-blown legal advocacy. We're representing you in a particular forum, either as an individual or part of class action. And we also have, in addition to that casework, policy and communication staff who do work educating Ohioans and policymakers about what DRO does and also about disability rights issues in general. So when we are doing legal advocacy and rights protection work, we do work with a wide range of people with disabilities in a variety of different settings. So we might be investigating abuse and neglect in an institutional setting, or addressing disability discrimination, which could be almost anywhere, in a public accommodation, in employment, in education. We could be helping someone access home and community-based services so they can stay out of an institution. We could be helping a child and their parent navigate special education systems in their school system. We could be advocating for housing rights, or accessing job training, or ensuring that people with disabilities have access to voting. We also do review of the work of representative payees for Social Security beneficiaries to make sure that those payees are acting in the best interests of the beneficiaries. And of course, something that we're going to talk about today, benefits counseling, how you can take advantage of the incentives that are available to you so as to maximize your Social Security benefits while still becoming employed and pursuing a career, job, whatever you want to do in the workforce. Eligibility for our services is simple. We represent people with disabilities. There's no income requirement, and there's no charge for our services. So, getting into the Social Security benefits. There are two basic Social Security programs. One is known as Title 16 to advocates, and more generally known as Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, to folks who are applying and seeking and receiving benefits. And that pays benefits to disabled adults and children with limited income and resources. So it is a means-tested benefit. If it is possible to be categorically eligible, if you will, be a person with a disability, but to not be eligible for SSI because your household has too much income. Title II benefits are a little bit different. They're the benefits that are known as Social Security Disability Insurance, and what I think we typically think of when we think of Social Security. And those are benefits paid to workers who have paid into the Social Security system and have a sufficient number of work credits. And they're also available for people who have paid into the system and have become themselves eligible for Social Security benefits. They're also available to children who are survivors and also children with disabilities. So some of you may be in families or be an individual, a transition age youth who is currently receiving SSI as a child. And for children receiving under the children's program, there is an eligibility change that happens when you turn 18. So during the first year after you turn 18, Social will do what they call the SSI age 18 redetermination. And so this is taking a look at whether the young person meets the Social Security adult definition of disability. There are different standards for the children's program and for the adult program. And so what happens when the child turns 18 is that Social Security takes a look at their situation, their limitations, their residual functional capacity, and determines whether they have a physical or mental impairment or combination of impairments that would limit the ability to work, that would prevent the individual from earning at a substantial gainful activity level, which currently Social Security actually sets a number, is $1,620 per month. So if you were earning money at a level that's higher than that through work, then that's a factor that's going to indicate to Social Security that you may not be disabled. But in any event, if the condition prevents you from earning substantial gainful activity, you're not working, you're not earning that amount of money, and the condition has lasted or is expected to last for at least 12 months, you can qualify for SSI or Social Security disability under the adult standard. So when you turn 18 and you're going through that redetermination, there are a couple of different possibilities. So if it's determined that you don't meet that adult definition that I was just reciting, then you will receive SSI benefits for 2 months, but then those benefits will end. There are two options to continue receiving SSI. The first one is simply to file an appeal. If you appeal within 10 days of receiving the letter that says your benefits are terminated because when you hit age 18, you did not meet the adult standard, you can ask that the the SSI payments continue until a decision has been made on your case. And that means you'll go through a reconsideration of that decision and then potentially an administrative law judge hearing in order to make a determination about whether Social Security got it right regarding your physical limitations, your residual functional capacity, and whether you can work at the SGA level for given those limitations. The second option is something that most people don't know about, I think, which is to apply to continue benefits through the Social Security Work Incentive known as Section 301. And that incentive is available to young people who are participating in a Social Security approved employment support program. So something like vocational rehabilitation, you're getting services from OOD, you've got an IPE, you're working towards a job goal, or you are still in school, still getting services under an IEP, or you've contacted Social Security and developed a plan to achieve self-support. So you've set a goal, you're going to work through the plan in order to be able to get a job that you want at the end of the plan, or any other program approved by Social Security, with the idea being that that program is going to get you into a good job in the future. So Social Security is willing to say, okay, we'll keep providing the SSI benefits as long as you are in this program. And once you complete the program, the benefits would terminate, because the idea is that at the end of the program, you would have the skills and the education or training that you need to go right into that job that was part of the goal of the program. And so I mentioned that it is possible to draw benefits on your parent's record. And so that's what childhood disability benefits are about. And so as a transition age youth, you can be what's called a disabled adult child, or a recipient of childhood disability benefits based on the Social Security record of a parent. But you have to meet the following criteria. So you have to file an application. And then you would have to meet that adult definition of disability. You can't be married, or if you are married, you can only be married to a Social Security beneficiary. If you are married to someone who's not a Social Security beneficiary, your childhood disability benefits terminate. You have to be age 18 or older. So the idea is that you are a disabled adult, but who is a child of someone who is eligible for Social Security benefits. So you're 18 or older, and under a disability which occurred while you were still a child. In other words, it's a disability that you have been diagnosed with and documented as having begun to affect you, made you, meet that definition of disability before age 22. And the parent is entitled to SSDI, that is the Social Security disability benefits themselves, or to retirement benefits, or they are deceased and you are a survivor of someone who had a record of having paid in sufficiently to draw down Social Security benefits.
Thank you, David.
Sure. And so I'm going to hand it off to Melissa now to take us into the rest of the work incentives. Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah. So you'll see from this list, Social Security has a lot of work incentives. Some are only for SSI, some are only for SSDI. But the main important thing to remember is that for any individual who is working, it is very important to report work timely to the Social Security Administration to lessen the effects of overpayments. And there are several ways to report wages. Best way is to, and an individual can learn how to do that through benefits counseling, and we'll talk about that a little later. But so work incentives are rules that help people who get Social Security benefits and work. They let people get a benefit while they're working, keep a benefit longer while they work, or get a benefit back quickly if it stops due to work. So an important work incentive for SSI beneficiaries is earned income exclusion. This is where Social Security does not count the first $65 of the earnings an SSI recipient receives in a month, then plus 1/2 of the remaining earnings. This means that Social Security counts less than 1/2 of the SSI recipient's earnings when they figure the SSI payment amount. They apply this exclusion in addition to a $20 general income exclusion that they apply first to any unearned income that is the SSI recipients may receive. So that's a lot. So I've got an example. So let's say Maria is an SSI recipient and she works part-time and earns $885 per month in wages. So first, Social Security deducts the general income exclusion of $20 of Maria's income. So $885 minus 20 equals $865. Second, Social Security deducts the first $65 of earned income. So that would bring it down to $800. Then Social Security counts only half of the remaining earnings. So 800 divided by 2 brings it down to $400 of countable income. So instead of counting all of $885 against Maria's SSI, Social Security is only counts $400. So to calculate how Maria's $400 income affects Maria's SSI check, we first start with Maria's federal standard SSI payment, which for 2025 is going to be $967. Second, Social Security subtracts her countable income of $400. That's going to be $567 in monthly benefits from Social Security. Third, then we add Maria's wages of $185. The result is Maria's total monthly income for that month is $1,452. So you see, with the earned income exclusion, Maria keeps $567 in Social Security benefits plus the income she's earned of $185 in wages instead of losing nearly all of her SSI. And then, so the great thing about Social Security's work incentive plannings and assistance projects, which is it helps beneficiaries to know what they can earn if they're thinking about going to work. And each WIPA has counselors called Community Work Incentives Coordinators. And so they work with the beneficiary to help them understand their benefits, teaches them when, how, and what to report to Social Security and to other providers. They provide in-depth, individualized counseling about their benefits and the effect of work on those benefits. And they can provide ongoing support and information as the individual transitions to work. And so how to receive counseling, beneficiaries and services providers should first contact what's called the Social Security's Ticket to Work Helpline. And I have the number on the slide, and it's 866-968-7842, or for TTY, it's 866-833-2967. And this is for the individual to be referred to the appropriate WIPA program. And so another important work incentive is the student earned income exclusion. This provision allows a person who is under age 22 and regularly attending school to exclude earnings from income. The amounts that are excluded are usually adjusted every year. So in 2025, Social Security doesn't count up to $2,350 per month, but not more than $9,460 maximum per year when they calculate SSI payments. So, for example, in Maria's case, Maria earns $885 a month as a student. Here, Social Security applies the student earned income exclusion first. Because $885 is below the student earned income exclusion limit of $2,350, all $885 is excluded. This means Maria's total monthly income is her $967 SSI check plus $885 in wages, which amounts to $1,852. So you can see how these different work incentives really help an individual get to work and earn more money. Another one is the property essential to self-support. So this is a work incentive that allows people on SSI to exclude certain property or resources from the SSI resource limit of $2,000 for an individual and $3,000 for couples if the property is for work and producing income. So types of property that can qualify is property used in a trade or business, for example, a barber's chair and clippers, a mechanic's tools. And without this incentive, someone who owns valuable tools and equipment could easily go over SSI's strict resource limit and lose benefits. With this incentive, they can keep what they need to support themselves. Now, this work incentive only applies to what's called unincorporated for-profit businesses that produce net earnings for self-employment. So in a trade or business, exclusions such as an individual is self-employed as a sole proprietorship, through a partnership, or a limited liability company. And so the SSDI and SSI programs include several work incentives designed to protect a beneficiary's cash and medical benefits while they work. If their benefits, and because they start to work and they must stop working later, these work incentives can make it easier to become to receiving their benefits again, such as the unsuccessful work attempts, which just means, so for an individual receiving SSDI, they have what's called 9-month trial work periods. And there's an amount, I'm not sure what it is, but if their attempt to work 1 month out of the 9, and it's below, they earn below a certain amount, that's what's considered an successful work attempt. So that month would not count against them in the 9-month trial work period. And then another one would be expedited reinstatement. So if an individual is working and all of a sudden they become unemployed, they're working first and then they lose their benefits because they've made over what David said, this substantial gainful activity of $1,600 and something. So if their benefits are stopped, then they can apply for an expedited work reinstatement. Yeah, getting them all confused. There's so many. And then another one is important is the impairment related work expenses. And what these are is any expenses that an individual needs to get to work, such as they have an accessible van and they use that to get to work, or they need to purchase medication out of pocket. That's a impairment related work expense. And sometimes if the individual works out of the home, residential modifications can also be considered an impairment related work expense. And it's important to keep really good records of any expenses that are used for your disability that can be deducted from what they count as earned income. And so the Ticket to Work program, it provides Social Security benefits who want to work with access to free employment services, like David said. And participants who choose to use their ticket will receive services such as career counseling, vocational rehabilitation services, such as job placement and training. And then it would be from an authorized Ticket to Work service provider, such as state vocational rehabilitation agencies in Ohio. It is Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities, otherwise known as OOD or OOD. And then some individuals have kind of had bad experiences with state VR. So there's another way, and that's called employment networks. And we'll talk about that more in depth later. Participants may not be subject to continuing disability review while they're using their ticket, okay? And so for more information on the ticket program, it can be mailed to you. Of a list of approved employment networks can be mailed to you, or you can call the Ticket to Work helpline. And that's Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then, so when we talk about vocational rehabilitation services, we're really talking about services that help people with disabilities work in the community, which is called competitive integrated employment. And so some VR services may include transition services, and we'll talk about in the next slide. Training, could be on the job training, and then rehabilitation, which could mean anywhere from certain technology that the individual needs in order to work. Could be broad definition. And then career counseling, not if the individual is not sure of what job they want to do. And then they also provide job placement assistance. So getting a resume together, mock interviewing skills. And then once the initial skills that they have for the job, like for interviewing in the resume, then the what's called a job developer will help the individual apply for jobs in the job goal area that the individual has chosen. So when an individual goes through Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities, they first need to become eligible. Then and usually when a person is receiving Social Security benefits, they are presumed eligible for VR services, usually because they have the Ticket to Work program. And then they would develop an individualized plan for employment with the goal that they have chosen to find employment in. And then another really great benefit is job coaching or on-the-job supports, where an individual will support the OOD participant on the job to make sure that the individual knows the job duties and how everything's working. And sometimes they can speak to the employer. And then OOD also has their own benefits counseling. So that's a great benefit as well. So what are transition services from OOD? A lot of people don't know that there's a great service called pre-employment transition services. And there are 5 basic ones. One, is job exploration counseling. So this can be start at age of 14 while they're in middle school and high school. And then work-based learning experiences, so they can go around to different employment sites, do job shadowing, and then also counseling on post-secondary education. They can take campus tours, really learn if that would be a good fit for them after leaving high school. And then also workplace readiness training if like a college isn't suitable for the individual. And then there's also instruction in self-advocacy, teaching the individual their rights under the ADA. And then there's a great service called Summer Youth Work Experiences. So an eligible individual with a plan, during the summer, from ages 14 to 21, they can participate in exploring the job and get hands-on training. And there's different providers and all sorts of things. And then there's also what's called non-permanent job development. So this helps students obtain non-permanent work, such as seasonal or after-school jobs, which will provide work experience and build work history while they're still in high school. And job coaching can also be provided if needed. And then, so as I mentioned, employment networks. These are public and private organizations that contracts with the Social Security to provide free employment support services to Social Security disability beneficiaries from age 18 through 64. So employment network services may include career planning, job leads and job placement, ongoing employment support, and also benefits counseling. I've found that employment networks don't provide as many services as the state VR programs. And then some employment networks provide services to the local community, while others provide services across one or more states. So it would be an individual from Ohio receiving services from an employment network in Indiana or another state. And so the person will work with the employment network in person, or if in another state, by phone or email or over Zoom or Teams. And the way to find an employment network is this website from ChooseWorks, and it's https://choosework.ssa.gov/find help, or just Google employment networks, how to find them. And then, so through our PAVS program, the Protection Advocacy for Beneficiaries, Social Security, we can provide individuals information and advocacy while they're still eligible under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, related to school-based transition planning and employment. And then a lot of what we do is provide short-term assistance, including legal information about referrals for disputes with Social Security Administration involving overpayments that are work-related, and that are the key is that they are a barrier in securing, maintaining, and regaining employment. So if an individual receives a letter that they've got a overpayment, please call us and we can advise the individual on self-advocacy and knowing what to do, and how to appeal that. And then we provide short-term assistance and advice and information and referrals when it comes to Social Security work incentives like we're doing today. And also, DRO ourselves has a work incentives planning assistance grant. So for WIPA. So we have CWICs that provide individualized counseling and help the individual know about these work incentives and how they would impact them and their employment on an individual basis. So our WIPA serves 31 out of Ohio's 88 counties. And that our counties are upper Ohio. So it's Allen, Ashtabula, Glaze, I don't know how to pronounce that, Cuyahoga County, Drake, Defiance, Erie, Fulton, Geauga, Hancock, Henry, Huron, Lake County, Lorain, Lucas, Mahoning, Medina, Mercer, Ottawa, Balding, Portage, Putnam, Sandusky, Seneca, Shelby, Stark. I don't think we do Summit anymore. Trumbull, Van Wert, Williams, and Wood. But you would want to definitely contact the Ticket to Work program to get referred. That's how our counselors, help individuals in those counties. And so here are some really good resources. And let's see what time it is. Do we have any questions yet, Tammy?
No,
Okay.
Melissa, we don't.
Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing this PowerPoint and see if I can share the other ones. So here we have, well, let's see. Here's one for youth when it's turning 18. It's a really good one. There's a link in and then we can't see the other ones, but I'll go back to the PowerPoint. And these are all based from Social Security's website. Let's see, here we go. Well, I didn't know when we do that, we get back out of the PowerPoint, so I'll go back down. Okay, here we go. So there's when turning 18, qualifying for benefit continuation after 18, and then what resources and services are available to help you earn money. That's a really good one. And then how can work incentives help you receive supplemental security income and Medicaid while working, and what you need to know about earning money and supplemental security income. And then they've got what's called the Red Book, a guide to work incentives and employment supports. And this is just like a big guide to every work incentive that Social Security has. And then for employment resources, OOD's website is this one right here, or you could just go to ood.ohio.gov. And then under their About tab, you can find the OOD location. And then there's a great website called Disability Benefits 101. And this gives you tools on your own about employment, healthcare coverage, Medicaid and Medicare, and how they affect. And it provides really great videos for individuals, kind of like in a cartoon-like setting, really person-centered to help the individual themselves know about their rights and benefits. And they also have benefits planning estimators. So you could actually play around this with you on your own. I've done it to estimate what, you know, how income would affect the individual's benefits. Also regarding school and work, and then what's called Medicaid buy-in for workers with disabilities, which is a program that helps individuals who are working and maybe on a waiver, and they can keep their benefits and also work at the same time. So there's a lot of information that goes into that. But if anybody has questions on Medicaid buy-in or any of this, they can contact our office. We have a great website, a resource center. It's www.disabilityrightsohio.org/resource center. And we have a tab on employment, a guide to VR services, tab on special education, benefits counseling, our representative payee program, and there's a whole bunch of things on our website too. So we've got Facebook and Twitter, and if you want to join our email list, you can access that as well on the resource center. And you can contact DRO by calling our 1-800-282-9181. And then option 2 is for intake, or you could go on our website. We have an intake form at www.disabilityrightsohio.org/intake-form, or you can write to us at 200 Civic Center Drive, Suite 300, Columbus, Ohio 43215. And with that, is there any questions, comments?
There is. There are questions. So the first one is, what is the standard amount of the SSDI benefit? My daughter will not be able to be gainfully employed.
That is on an individualized basis. David, you want to take that?
Sure. The SSDI amount will vary based on the amount that the parent has paid into the system. The SSI amount is, I believe, $967, as Melissa said, per month, and that goes up every year based on an evaluation of inflation. But the SSDI amount is based primarily on what the individual's parent would have paid into the system. So that's going to vary.
Okay.
And just a side note, if anybody hasn't checked this out, Social Security has an online, you can make your own Social Security account. And if an individual is not receiving Social Security disability insurance yet, you can actually go on the website to see how much you've paid in, and if you became disabled, what you would get now versus waiting till full eligibility or at 62. So the Social Security's website is ssa.gov. So that would be great.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. That's a good point.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa and David. The next question is, if a transition age youth doesn't qualify for SSI due to parental income, and they would like to participate in work readiness and job coaching, should they apply for SSI before or after high school based job readiness?
Well, they can, even if they don't have the SSI, they can apply for vocational rehabilitation services through OOD to get job readiness training. But once they turn 18, if they weren't eligible for SSI based on the adult's income, then after turning 18, they would be considered their own adult and go through the eligibility process that way.
Okay. Thank you. I do not see any other questions. in the Q&A. So give it maybe a few more seconds, maybe somebody's typing. While we're waiting, thank you so much, David and Melissa. That was a lot of information to go over. I'm probably going to have to watch that a couple of times on the on the recorded on the website. So thank you. Yep,
Oh,
I knew there was going to be another
yeah.
one. Did you see it, Melissa, or do you want me to read it?
Okay. So SSI doesn't depend on parents' income 1 to 18 years old. I believe that's true. It's based on the individual's own disability.
So the only other factor might be that if the individual is continuing to live with someone that's paying for their, their support, their housing, their shelter, that sort of thing, there may be a reduction in the SSI benefit that they would receive. But after 18, it would be on their own account, and they would be eligible for the work incentives.
David, there is another question. Does VR employment count against qualification for SSI?
I'm not sure what is meant by VR employment. If you mean like if you're working in a non-permanent job over the summer or something like that, I mean, any income would count against SSI, but would be subject to the same work incentive reductions that Melissa described. So, one of the things that we make a point of saying is that it's always better to be working and earning some income, even if it reduces the SSI benefit substantially, because the combination of the two with the work incentives means that you end up ahead.
Okay.
And I want to point out that there is a stigma that a lot of people think that they will lose their benefits if they go to work. And the point is, the big thing is that it depends on which program the individual is in, SSI or SSDI. But I think it's always better to try to go to work if the individual is able to. And especially with all the work incentives that are out there, it's really good to, because Social Security is, can be poverty, and it's hard to afford things out there. The key to it is that if the individual is working, is to report the wages to Social Security. And if anybody has any questions about, how to do that, benefits counselors, that's what they're for. But David and I could also, answer those questions as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to do my wrap up. So thank you, everyone. Actually, and I know this is a little impromptu that I added this, but this is the end. This is the last training in our summer education and employment series. So if there are still people have not left, if you can put in the Q&A, I know we don't have the chat open, but if there's anything that we didn't cover in this, because we're thinking about doing another series, maybe in the winter, late winter, not sure when yet, but go ahead and put in the chat if there's ideas that you have or things that you feel like you would want us to, do a training on. Go ahead and throw that in the chat, and we will take those ideas and see what we can come up with in our next training series. So with that being said, I just wanted to remind everybody that this was recorded. It will be posted onto our website soon, along with the rest of our summer education and employment series. We hope you found the information valuable and that you have left with some tools and insights. And feel free, like I said, to go ahead, visit our website, share that with others or revisit it when you need the information. So once again, I don't see anything in the Q&A, but maybe we'll send out a survey or something after to see, because we really think this has been beneficial. So thank you all. Have a great day. Enjoy our last days of summer, I think. So take care. Bye.